Superdelegate, he is a Montana superdelegate, endorsed Hillary Clinton today because of Obama's comments. Joining us now with more on these two big stories, Fox News contributor Karl Rove. Karl, it's heard him in Pennsylvania, Indiana, and with the superdelegate. But it seems in the general, if you look at the numbers, that Barack Obama is still leading Hillary Clinton by a substantial margin. So does it help him or hurt him overall?
Well, look, this is not good news for him. And the more people hear about this and the more people listen to the entire speech, the more they're going to find this tone of arrogance and elitism comes through. He not only, I suspect that one of the reasons why the county commissioner in Montana may have come out for Senator Clinton was he also had sort of self-deprecating comments about people in Montana and Idaho, basically saying, look, I'm so good and I'm so strong, I'm even getting people in crazy out of the way places like Butte and Missoula, Montana, and people in Idaho to be supportive of me. This was not one of his better moments.
You know, I just came up the other night with Andy Card. We were talking about how sometimes conservatives will say, you know, San Francisco values or talk about elites in big cities. Is that kind of the same thing, though, where people on the right will use those kind of words to besmirch another part of the country?
Well, there is a sense in places like San Francisco that you know the United States consists of a narrow sliver on the East Coast and a narrow sliver on the West Coast, and the rest of the country is uninteresting and unimportant. And that kind of attitude was evidenced in Senator Obama's comments. Yes.
If you were advising Barack Obama, what would you tell him to do about this?
Well, he shouldn't do what he did. He made the statement. He then tried to soften it before the actual words got out. They said, well, here's what he really said, which was not what he really said. They then said, well, it's true. He went out and said, people are upset because this is true. He then made a half-hearted apology. Then he went on the offense and said, shame on you, Hillary Clinton, shame on you. And then today, at the Associated Press, he sort of basically said it was not his fault, it was everybody else's fault because it was how these remarks were interpreted. It was people deliberately misinterpreting his remarks where he said they'll cling to their guns or religion. So don't go through a six-step process from making the mistake to blaming it on somebody else. He should
have make one clarification statement and hope that gets it to go away.
That's right. That's right.
He did say some of the words I chose badly. They were subject to misinterpretation, and I regret that deeply. And I'm sure he does. Don't you see that as an opportunity for him to apologize?
I'm sure he does. He does. He is sorry about those remarks because they're hurting him. But it was after that half-hearted apology that he went on the offense against Senator Clinton for even bringing up the issue. My colleague and former colleague and friend Pete Wehner had an interesting piece today on National Review Online, in which he pointed out that Obama's attitude seems to be, if you ever question me, it is wrong for you to question me and inappropriate. And that's where he's ended up his dialogue, is by saying it's not my fault, it's people misinterpreting me, and how dare you even bring this issue up.
Hey, Karl, actually, Pete was on this program on Friday night, and I read the same piece. My first question is actually from his piece, and that is, he said this in a private setting in San Francisco, but does this expose a particular worldview that he has that he's been hiding?
Sure. Look, this is who he is. He is a Harvard-educated elitist whose attitude of you know, sort of rural America was evinced in that short phrase. It's not the only example, however, in the speech of elitism. He also makes a similarly damaging comment about foreign policy. He says, foreign policy is the area where I am most confident that I know and understand the world better than Senator Clinton and Senator McCain, and goes on to cite as evidence of that the fact that he lived in Indonesia for 4 years as a preteen, that he studied international affairs at Columbia, that he traveled to Pakistan in college, and that he has family that he said is impoverished, living in small villages in Africa. As if these four things were enough to say that I know and understand the world more and better than Senator Clinton and Senator McCain.
You also pointed out the way he went about defending this. The first remarks that he made about this, Karl, was that I said something that